This is being recorded.
Also, I don't know what everyone's personal preferences are with their Zoom screen over the map. I currently have my Zoom screen stretched out really long and wide and thin and moved to the top of my screen so that everybody is horizontal, like in a bar across the top of the screen. And that opens up a little bit more map space.
That's a good idea.
I like that. So, my computer. So I'm going to pull up some documents. So again, your imagination is your constraint. I have a character that I created earlier today that I will be referring to in an example for you guys. And that's where you see Turnip Tree Nut. He's a giant squirrel. He's a knight. And so he is my character that I've created as an example. You can be anything you'd like. You can be an elf, human, dwarf, like gnome, dragon, tree. It does not matter. In the rules of D&D, there are limits, but for tonight, since we are just playing and using our imaginations, there will be no limits. Some of you, that can be crippling. So that's why I gave you those options, that you can be, like I said, a human, dwarf, gnome, elf. Those are some pretty standard fantasy like character races. We're not going to worry about what kind of job you want to have in the world, whether it's be a healer or a sorcerer or a druid. We're going to let you play in the world how you'd like. And if you want to shoot off a fireball or charm someone with a spell or swing an axe at somebody, you just let me know and we'll make that happen. So again, the limitations are kind of open, and I recognize it for some of you that might be a lot. So again, that's why I just say try to take a trope and stick with it if you feel a little overwhelmed. Yeah. So what we'll do is, in this opening scene, I need to give you a little bit of background for how we're going to run it. This opening scene will help create our characters. So there will be moments where I will describe something, I'll ask something about you, and I'll give you a couple of minutes or like a minute and a half to think about it. You think about it in your head, and then we'll all go around and kind of say it, taking turns to kind of describe what our answers are to these questions. So I want to pick up my phone. Jennifer, are you good? Are we good? I want to make sure you didn't have anything you needed to add.
Nope, not yet.
Okay, so I will start by describing where we're at. So you wake up to the sound of running, trickling water and rats chewing. You're chilled to the bone. As your eyes become adjusted to the dim light, you look around to find yourself in a small prison cell. The bars are fairly wide apart, but just enough so that only your arms can reach out. Chained to the bars is a small wooden plank with a couple of sheets of wax paper attached to it. So you walk over, reach your arm through the bars, and look at the wax paper. You instantaneously recognize your name, and a few of your memories return to you. It reads, and so this is the moment that you can pull up your character sheet. Now, when you do that, it should ask you some questions. It'll have like 3 options. Do you want to use Charactermancer? And all these things will probably look really weird to you. If you just click edit sheet directly, do you guys see that? Click on that. And again, let's not get overwhelmed by how much is here. We're going to ignore the majority of this for tonight. The only thing that I would like you to fill out is, first of all, your name, which will be on the top left. Right now it just says player and then a number, and you can change that. You'll also want to write in what your race is, which is what, like I'm a giant squirrel. Turnip Tree Nut is a squirrel. That's what you want to write there. And then you can take a little note in the personality traits box of your height and weight if you'd like. If not, that's okay too. That's mainly just for you. You can describe yourself to other people what you'd like to look like. So I'm going to give us a couple minutes to think of those things. And then we'll go around and we'll each give our names and what we look like or what we are.
Where do we put what we are? Oh, race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there won't be a place for height and weight, just in the personality traits.
I'm not seeing like race. Where do I find that?
Okay, so you'll see that at the right beside the name, there'll be another little box, a long box, and then it'll have things like class, subclass, level. Right under class is something called race.
Where is
Oh,
that?
okay. At the top of your sheet, there's 3 kind of tabs. There's bio and info, character sheet, and attributes and abilities. You want to make sure that you're on the character sheet part.
Okay, and then I'm there, and all I see is core bio cells.
Core bio.
Do you want me to share my screen?
I think it'll be okay. Is there anything above core bio and spells?
No.
Are you scrolled down? Scroll all the
It doesn't scroll.
in the top left. Do you have what looks like 2 little windowed buttons?
Yes.
Click that. It should pop it out into its own browser window and see if it shows up now.
It looks the same as it did before.
And you can't scroll up.
No, like the core bio spells, and there's like a little like flower thing. They're like kind of to the right and down a little bit, but there's nothing else on the page and
nothing else. But there is stuff below it, right? Like below bio and
no. Do I have to click edit?
Yes, try that.
Yeah, when I click edit, it only gives me the option to upload a picture, change my name, and then add bio and info.
And what character number or player number are you?
Number 1.
Oh, I see that, and I have no idea what is going on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add you another character. This one should pop up under your journal as test 2. See if that gives you any options.
Oh yeah, well, there's so many things now.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and delete player 1. I don't really know what was happening there, so.
So it's saying, how do you want to create this character?
That's where you'll want to input, it's the 3rd option.
So edit sheet directly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, now, sorry, I missed this.
Okay.
Like, what all am I filling out here?
You'd want to put in your name and what race you'd like to be.
Okay.
And if you would like to describe your height and weight, you can put that in your personality traits. Just type it in.
Okay. So we don't have to be human, is that what you're saying?
No, you can be anything you'd like. Like I said, the general things that you find most often in Dungeons and Dragons is dwarf, elf, human, half-orc, gnome, which is kind of like a hobbit. But you can be anything.
Okay.
And if you want to be human, that's totally cool too, and that just helps.
There are lots of humans in D&D, so that's normal as well.
Yep.
Okay.
So while everyone else or the people are deciding, it would be great if some people could just start speaking up and introducing what your character name and your race is. So if you don't mind, I will call on you and you can let us know. So we'll start with Alex.
All right. I've never done naming. I would just named it Alex, but I was going to go with I'll go with Morgoth as a name. He's a halfling, so he's a 40-pound, 3-foot tall man who wears the wizard robes of a full-grown man, so they trail behind him quite long.
Great.
Very stern, and that's what I'm working with. Oh, and he's a sorcerer halfling.
Awesome. Great. All right. Beth, would you mind describing us who you created?
I created Jumpin' Luckin', who's an elf. Doesn't have a gender.
Yeah.
Playful, I described them as playful, silly, high energy, kind, takes chances, 36 inches tall, weighs 21 pounds.
Wonderful. Great to meet them. Mary, would you like to describe what you've come up with?
All right, so my character's name is River, and she is a water pixie.
Cool.
And she is 3 inches tall and 4 ounces, weighs 4 ounces. So she's tiny, but she has wings and flies, and she can swim underwater and like be underwater for long periods of time.
That's awesome.
Cool.
So the normal bars of this gel would normally not keep a 3-inch pixie in. So River finds herself in a tiny little glass jar on a shelf on the back of the prison cell wall. Otherwise, she'd just fly away. Jess,
Yes. So my character's name is Fiona Fuego, and I'm a mystical salamander. I am transparent, and I'm 3 foot long, but 8 inches tall.
Nice.
Yeah.
So also really tiny.
Yeah.
The bars on your cell are just a little bit different as well.
Yes, makes sense.
All right, Heather.
Hello. I am Starfire. I'm a magical unicorn, and I'm out however tall a horse is. I was like trying to think how tall that is. I'm not exactly sure. What is that, like 7 feet tall?
Yeah, maybe
tall?
at the head.
And I'm all black though, so that's just kind of, I'm not your typical unicorn color. And I have magical powers. I'm not sure exactly what they are yet, but
Nice. Yeah. Love it. Right. Melody, would you like to go next?
Yes, my character name is Blossom. I am an elf. I am 30 feet tall and 40 pounds. I didn't come up with any personality traits as y'all were saying, so I'll be thinking about that. But yeah. So.
Sounds good. Blossom the elf. All right. Hillary. You're muted. Sorry, I saw you talking, but...
Yeah, I laughed, and then it told me I was muted, and I was like, all right. My name is Alexa. Alexa is a mystical creature, kind of unknown as to exactly what she is. But she is kind of like a genie, where she is kind of in a small box, and she sees all things.
Love it. All right, Alexa. Okay, so do you like to go by Marcella or Marcy?
Honestly, I go, that's my name, but I go by Marcy because I'm all paranoid about getting followed by next client or something like that.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I use my nickname.
Yeah. All right, well, would you like to give us yours?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I kind of stole. So my name is Diana, and I'm an Amazonian. I'm dominating and powerful.
Awesome. Fantastic. So that's everyone, and I will probably not remember every detail of everyone's characters, so please forgive me if I have to ask. It would take me some time to learn these things normally. I'll try my best. So you notice your name and your description, and you slump down against the stone prison wall. you can't help but feel the weight of being a captive and how the possibility of freedom now seems like an unachievable dream. You lived for one thing. And I'd like you guys to name one thing that drives your character. This can be the single thing that is most important for them as a value, or what guides their goals and ambitions. And once you have that in mind, you could write that in the section where it says ideals. So for example, Turnip Tree Nut, his ideal, what drives him, his ambition, is he wants to see all people respect all creatures of the woods. That's his like one driving goal in all of life. So go ahead and take a minute and a half and think of what might your character's goal be.
Can it have 2 or just 1?
Yeah, you can have 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you guys another 30 seconds.
Are we supposed to write this somewhere?
Yeah, if you write that in the section of your character sheet where it says ideals.
Okay.
So you'll see my character pop up, and over there on the right side, Turnip wants to see people respect all creatures of the woods as an ideals.
Okay. Cool. Just a sec.
Oh, you're fine. We'll let you go ahead and work on it while everyone else kind of shares, if that's okay.
Just a heads up, Tim, as part of our troubleshooting process for tonight, whenever I see Turnip, I see his picture, but I don't see anything else.
Okay, that's really good. Okay.
Yeah.
What I might have to do is I might have to just create a picture of it and then share the picture instead of the character sheet. So thank you. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start again from my Zoom top, and we'll work our way down, and we can share what is your character's ideal or goal. So Hillary, would you mind sharing?
Yeah, so Alexa wants to help others achieve their goals, and she wants all creatures to live in unity together.
Awesome. Thank you. Marcy.
Diana wants to protect the vulnerable.
Nice. I'm sorry, protect what? I missed the last part.
The vulnerable?
Oh, the vulnerable. Thank you. All right, Beth.
Jumpin' Luckin' wants to help everyone to play and have fun without being plagued by self-doubts.
I love it. All right, Alex.
Equally uplifting, Morgoth the Sorcerer just wants the absolute respect of all people and their fear, hopefully. Yeah,
Nice.
No, we're all helping professionals. Never
just get by, you know?
All right, Mary. Do you want to? Oh, you're muted. Do you want to come back? Or are you still working on it?
Yeah, can you come back? I've got it. I just need to write it down.
Not a problem. Jess.
Yes. So Fiona Fuego is passionate about fire safety and fighting for the little guys in either combat or writing policy. So
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Heather. What is Starfire?
Yeah, mine was very similar, actually. Protect and fight for those in need.
Nice. All right, and for Blossom, Melody, what is Blossom's?
All right, so Blossom's ideas were for that all characters should really reach their maximum level of strength, but also I believe that all characters are intelligent despite our size.
Wonderful. I like that. All right, Mary, are you ready to share? All right.
Right, so mine is River longs for female pixies to be recognized as powerful and intelligent leaders in the pixie world.
Love it. All right. So, but now that you seem stuck in prison, how are you ever going to live out your dreams and goals? You drift in and out of consciousness from a pounding headache. As you sleep, your dreams turn towards, all right, now take a minute and a half to, what is one event, one person, or object that was important to you? Name this in a sentence and write that in your bond. So, for example, Turnip Tree Nuts bond is one time his home tree was cut down in order to make a chair. He misses his home tree. That's his bond. Something that's always in his mind is that he misses his tree. So your character needs to come up with something that is an event, a person, or an object that was important to them, and that is their bond. So take a minute and a half. And I'm going to get a drink of water.
Hey, Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, was he saying our bond is a person or a place, or is it anything?
Your bond can be either a person or a place or like a very specific event that
Okay.
is central to either you, your family, or your people group.
Okay.
So like the squirrel was like his tree was chopped down. So it's both the tree and the fact that it was chopped down. That's the bond.
Does it have to be a specific event, or can it be more like an overarching experience?
I think it could also be an overarching experience.
Okay. Okay, I'll go from the bottom up this time, if you guys have enough time. And if you need a little more time, just let me know and I'll skip to someone else. So, Blossom, what would be Blossom's bond?
Blossom's bond is missing her family vacation to the North Pole.
Nice. Nice. And Heather, are you available to go?
Looks like you're muted. We'll come back to you,
She's
Heather.
not ready yet. All right, Jess.
I can't decide on this one yet.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. These are big questions. All right,
Yes.
Mary. Would you be available, Mary?
I think so. So, okay. River's bond is that her home used to be a peaceful mountain stream that dried up in a drought that was like evil or something.
So maybe a curse or an
Yes,
evil
curse.
spell.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice. All right. Alex, how about Morgoth?
Morgoth is just constantly thinking back to his pet battlehawk named Stilts, who he used to, grow up with and one day hope to ride, to just rise above being such a small halfling.
Nice. Wonderful.
Missing my battlehawk.
Yes. All right, Beth.
Jumpin' Luckin grew up with very depressed parent elves and vowed to help the world escape from the dark cloud of depression.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. All right, Marcy.
So I don't know if this is correct. So I was abandoned by my family, and I was raised in that by the Amazonian forest. And when it was threatened by foreigners, Diana stood up to the foreigners, and since then vowed to protect.
That's perfect. Yep, that's great.
Okay.
Hillary.
Keep doing that. I don't know if this is correct, like in the sense of I picked the right type of thing. So tell me if I need to tweak it. But Alexa was born in a small box, and she feels safe and secure in her box. If she has to leave it, she feels anxious. Will that work or?
No, that works.
Okay.
The box is her kind of bond. Their
Yeah.
safe space. Yep.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. Jess and Heather. Heather.
Yes. So Starfire was, when he was little, he was raised by a little girl. And as he got older, he left to go fight evil. But when he came back, she was gone, and he hasn't been able to find her.
Oh, wonderful. That's awesome. Good backstory. Thank you. All right. Jess, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
So, as my forest, the enchanted forest, was cleared by selfish giants, my best friend Nagini was captured and tortured and converted towards the evil side.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah. Deep stories. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so these dreams that you're having, they start to turn into nightmares. In cold sweats, you wake up thinking about, and this is, I want you guys to think of a major flaw of your character. This could be a vice or a fear. It could be a thing that constantly stops you from accomplishing your goals or achieving your ambitions. And write down that short one-sentence answer in your flaws section of your character. So for Turnip, Tree Nut, his flaw is that Turnip can be a bit of a glutton. That's an example for you guys, and we'll give you a minute and a half to think of a flaw. Okay, so we'll start at the top. Hillary, would you like to share your character's flaw?
Yeah, so because Alexa can hear all things, sometimes she becomes afraid of the things she hears, and that stops her from being courageous.
Great. All right, Deanna.
Like me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just making sure. Diana does not know how to lose.
That's a good one. Beth, how about Jumpin' Luckin'?
Jumpin' Luckin' can turn into a bit of a clown. Making trouble and forcing lightheartedness when it isn't appropriate. They're terrified of ever feeling bad or being around anyone who does feel bad.
Love it. All right, Alex, what about Morgoth?
Morgoth is always motivated by his biggest flaw, which is his pride and his fear of being overlooked, literally and figuratively.
Nice.
I like that.
How about River?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I couldn't find my unmute button. River is extremely curious, but really she's nosy. And so this often leads her to snooping into risky situations and places maybe she shouldn't be.
Nice. Fiona. Is Fiona, Jess, right? Is your character Fiona?
LOL. I was like, oops, Fiona. So sorry.
Sorry, I'll start to do that so
character.
I can connect characters with names.
Yes. Okay, so Fiona gets anxious around bigger people, meaning people, anyone 2 times bigger than me. So basically, if you're taller than 2 feet, I'm anxious around you, and will spontaneously combust if I feel threatened.
Whoa.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
You're really
Like I still
squid.
survive,
I like it.
but yes.
Yeah. Defense mechanism. Gotta love it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Blossom. How about Blossom's flaw?
Blossom struggles with keeping her emotions together.
Awesome. All right. And how about Starfire?
Starfire is very, very afraid of fire.
Oh no. Fantastic.
Unfortunately, I have to go. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm
Thank
in Taiwan, you guys, so I'm like on a different time schedule here, and I had something come up at 10 a.m. here. But I wish I could play. The set is so much fun, and
Thanks.
I wish you guys the best of luck on your journey.
Thank you, Heather.
Okay.
Good to
I
see you,
was
Heather.
wondering why it looked light outside your window. I was like,
Yeah.
it's dark outside mine. Where is she?
I'm on the other side of the world. Okay.
See you later, Heather.
Bye.
So thank you all for sharing your flaws. So, all right. So what all seems like days pass, drifting in and out of consciousness and awareness. You really lose all sense of time. If you can count by how many uneaten meals lie on the floor, partially chewed by rodents, you think maybe 4. You stand and look out the cell doors or your bottle and see some other captives in the cells around you. There's a hunched over human dressed in a brown cloak, holding an iron club, and he's pacing back and forth in front of the cells. There's a large dog that lays on the dirt ground beside a stream of running water. Lightly burning lanterns swing slightly on chains from the ceiling, occasionally spilling ash and coal into the ground as they crackle. The old man in one of the cells across from you looks like this. He mumbles to himself, gets up occasionally, walks over to the bars, looks around, and goes back to his bed. The other character is Jennifer. Would you like to introduce us to yours? You're muted. Sorry.
Shoot, I thought I'd unmuted myself. Yes, I'm a gnome. My name is Ginger Snooks. I'm here at the wee prison with you.
So at this point, that kind of sets the stage. This is when you begin to kind of think of what your character would like to do, and we'll describe the outcomes. And this is when you could use what you've seen in movies or books about jailbreaks. What would your character do if they were trying to get out of jail? And you can think creatively about that. Feel free to talk as your character would talk, act as your character would act, and describe to me what you would find yourself doing, and I'll kind of respond to that. If you say, my character says, I'll encourage you to say that as your character. So if you might say, I'll look at the person next door and I'll say, hey, how are you doing? I would say, well, how does your character sound when they do that? And encourage you to kind of step into that role and speak in first person. Like I said, I know that's really uncomfortable and sometimes weird. Just try your best. And if it comes out as your normal voice, that's okay. So you have the scene. And what would you guys like to do?
So any of us can step up and...
Any of you. Yep.
To clarify, one of the people, or the person pacing, was outside of the cells, more like a guard?
Yep, he's a guard. He's pacing down this far side of the room. There's a dog laying beside the cold water over here. Your cells are largely barren. There's often some remains of meals, your bedroll. Sometimes there's two of you in a cell. Other times it's just one.
Well, Morgoth is appalled that anyone would dare to keep me in a cell. So in a booming baritone voice, surprisingly deep for a wee lad, demands the guard come over and improve his accommodations by unlocking the door.
The guard looks at you with disdain in his eyes and just rattles his nightstick against the bars. Get back in your cell. There's about the time that your voice rings out, you hear this old man yell out, buckets! And he falls over a bucket and you hear just a clang from his cell as he exclaims in surprise, who's that speaking outside the cell?
Why, it is I'm Morgoth, of course. The great and powerful.
Of course, Morgoth. Your tales have been renowned from this small, dank, wet cell. How about we get out of here? It might be a mistake, but it'd make a good story.
That it would. I couldn't agree more. I have a plan.
Well, if you have a plan, you should probably keep it to yourself and not shout it across the stream. Otherwise, Mr. Guard there, he'll see. Oh, he can see words? That's weird.
Can I ask a question?
Certainly.
What does the map have to do with the story?
So the map is the setting of what you're seeing. It will be what we would use if there is combat. I would give you a token and you'd move them and tell me where you're going to move. Normally your token would be associated, your token being the little circle with a blue square around it, would be associated with a character that you have. For tonight, I would normally set that up in session 2 so that you could move them. For tonight, you can just it helps set the stage of what's happening. And if anything needs to move, I'll move it just to let you know kind of situationally what's happening.
So at this moment, though, nothing's really happening on the map.
Yeah, I would move things if necessary. Like I can move a token to let you know like where this guy is going. Like this on the screen. But it's kind of an aid. And in this sense, I can just describe it with words and kind of let you imagine what that would be like. And then if you have questions, where is he walking? I can kind of give you a more detailed picture.
Okay.
Can I do something?
Of course. What would you like to do?
Okay, you said I'm in a jar or something. I'm in like a. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So River is inside her jar, inside her glass thing, and she's like pounding on it. And she's making these motions at her throat 'cause she's really thirsty. And so she's pounding and trying to get someone's attention.
Oh, man. Okay, so the guard walks by, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll a dice because what's happening is there's something behind the scene going on that I need to check. And that is what's being checked is his perception. Everyone has something on their character sheet called perception. And then I would have you roll it if you were trying to perceive something in your world that's happening. all characters in this world, including the ones I control, have the same statistics. So I'm going to roll a dice, and it's going to let me know whether or not he sees you. Unfortunately, in this case, he does not see you making any motions from behind the cells. He seems preoccupied on making sure he doesn't trip over, but he seems a little bit drunk.
Okay, so River realizes the guard can't see her, so she starts getting frantic, and she starts banging her little body against her glass jar, and she's like inching it further and further away from the shelf, and suddenly it falls off the shelf and it's on the floor.
Okay, let's see. I will see if it breaks. So I'll roll another dice for that. Unfortunately, this jar is pretty solid, and it bounces on the floor, and it rolls towards the bars, but it's unshattered. It's a pretty solid piece of glass. But you are closer to the exit than you've ever been.
Okay, so River's on the floor, and she's inside her jar, and she's trying to, now since she's by the bars, she's trying to maneuver it to see if it can fit through the bars. And it's just, I don't know if I can do this. Can I do this?
Let me know.
Okay.
Tell me what you want, and I'll let you know. Yeah.
The jar is just the right size that she can inch out of her bars, and she's trying to roll to the next cell over.
Yeah. So it does. Your jar seems to fit through the little the bars. No one expected you to come off your shelf. As you roll into the next cell, you see that old gristly eyebrowed old man staring down at you between his feet. Oh, you're not a bucket. He picks it up, looks at you in the jar. Oh my! There's a pixie in this jar. He uncorks it for you. It's kind of tough, so he struggles for a moment and it pops off. The fresh air, but it's not so fresh, fills your jar, and you're out. The guard seems to have not noticed, but the dog is walking slowly toward the cells.
Ginger has noticed that all of this is going on and is frantically trying to say, psst, 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 psst. Oi, Pixie! Trying to get the attention from the adjacent cell.
Now that River is out of her jar, she can hear better, and she hears someone from the next cell saying, Oi, Pixie! And so she starts buzzing and flying around and flies through to try to figure out who is calling her name.
Psst, oi, Pixie! Over here! Okay, do you see? Come and look. And I point from my cell's perspective. You can see where the bit of keys are dangling from. And so I ask, say, Oi, Pixie, are you strong enough, do you think, to go get a wee key?
And River says, Am I strong enough?
Love it.
It's
yes.
great.
Why do I have your accent as a pixie?
So just to let you know, every time I do an accent, it ends up being some weird mix of like Irish and Philadelphian. It's awful, and it always happens.
I'm so bad at accents. Okay. I'm strong enough.
So as you fly to the next cell, you notice that the guard is staring right at you and goes over and puts the keys in his pocket and is just leaning against the wall, smiling.
River sees that the guard sees her. So she ends up flying into Ginger's cell with her. But she goes to the very, very, very top corner where there's a tiny piece of stone just jutting out at the ceiling, and she sits there.
All right. Anyone else have something that their character would like to do or try?
I do.
Okay, what would Jumpin' Luckin' like to do?
Jumpin' Luckin' is getting very upset because Ginger's upset and there's a lot of upset people. And so they're starting to jump up and down, up and down, up and down, and going, I can help, I can help, I can help. Guard, guard. We, you know, we need stuff. Lots of stuff.
Guard walks over. He looks at you and says, what kind of stuff do you need?
Well, water to drink and laughter. We need laughter. I can put on a really good show. You'll see. You'll think I'm so funny.
I can see a show. He walks over to the stream, gets a cup out, gets a ladle of water, and walks it over and like extends it. It's on like a 3-foot pole to you to drink from. He's like, water for a show.
Oh, thank you, hooray! And come over here, River, come, drink quick. I'll pretend I'm drinking, but really you're drinking because you're the one that's thirsty, and I don't want you to be thirsty. Okay, so
the guard has no idea who you're talking to. He's kind of like intrigued by what's happening in front of him and doesn't really pay attention to the words and doesn't know that you're talking to River.
Yeah, and that's because it's all part of the show. It's our show, man. Like, time to giggle.
So I would like Jumpin' Luckin' to roll a 20-sided die. So that would be the D20 on the dice roller.
Oh, that sounds risky, but I always love a good adventure.
And you hear from across the cells, adventures make the best stories.
Absolutely. So should I roll it or do you roll it?
You can roll it. In this case, what would happen is under your character, you have a skill called performance. And so in a situation like this, I would make a performing character perform a performing check to see if the performance distracts the guard and kind of gets him in your wheelhouse.
Okay. So I go to this little hexy thing, and click on it, and then go down to D20, and then click on that?
Yes. And then in the chat box, it'll bring up your result. Okay, so an 8 isn't a really high result, but what I'm doing is I already rolled the guard's perception, and you're just trying to roll above that. And so I won't tell you the rolls oftentimes. Normally I'll just tell you or describe what happens if you fail or succeed. In this case, you've totally got his attention. He is enthralled in this seemingly impromptu performance in the cell and totally oblivious to what's happening behind him.
Oh, hooray! Hooray! My plan is working. It's all a great adventure. No need to be worried. I mean, this is an adventure. So, guard, listen, this adventure. I mean, okay, so that water you gave me in that ladle, that was really nice.
Oh, yeah, I'm a pretty nice guy.
Yeah, you are. You so are. And, we're all really nice creatures. And so I was thinking that maybe, like, if we're going to have a show, it's better to have a show sort of all together. And so maybe we could all kind of meet over by the stream, and there could be lots of applause, and I'll perform, and other people could perform, and everybody will be so happy.
He kind of stares at you. He's like, I don't know. But then how's that really mean boss of mine? She doesn't really like performances very much. He kind of looks conflicted. He kind of shakes his head and looks back and forth. I would like you to roll one more D20 So normally as we would play and you would try to convince someone to do something, you would do something called a persuasion check. And so that's another skill that your character would have based on certain characteristics. So in this case, you go ahead and roll another 20-sided die. Okay, so this is a really good learning moment. In this game, there are called natural 20s and natural 1s. Natural 20s always succeed, no matter how difficult the task. Natural 1s, on the other hand, are critical failures, which means no matter how good you are, the task fails, but usually in some unforeseen way. So in this case, the guard is all of a sudden overcome with immense, like just a frightened look in his face. Like he has just realized what he's done. He drops the ladle, kind of clangs his nightstick on the bars. He's like, "Get back, you performer of the devil." And he walks quickly to the front, all the way up towards the steps where there's other guards, and you can kind of hear them snoring, and stops paying attention to your show.
Oh no! All right, well, I'm gonna try again. Like, guards, you're sleeping through the best show. It's really a good show. This guard was liking it a lot for a while. He got a little sick of it. Okay, I get that. But he was really liking it. And we'll stay where we are for now. But we're going to sing a big, silly, funny song, all of us together.
He seems impervious to any further attempts at performances. Would anyone else like to try some other thing? Jess, I see you waving, and yes. Alex, what would you like to try?
Fiona is terrified by what is happening with all the sounds and all the big people. So Fiona bursts into flames and starts running in laps in her cell.
So the dog lets out a yelp and bolts to the very back door. You're at the very bottom of the prison cell block. The guard goes and wakes up the other guard, and they all three of them come running down, and they look frantic at first, thinking that someone is burning alive in the cell. In the middle of all the fire and the running, you have a hard time hearing them, but you heard one say, "Well, just grab a bucket of water," and one runs off and grabs a bucket of water, and they just start throwing it in the cell to see what happens. So you have water splashing on you. Does it seem to hurt?
No, the fire cannot be put out by the water.
So everyone is kind of focused on what to do. They're having this internal debate among them. But as time passes, it becomes less frantic, but they're still trying to figure out what to do. But they seem distracted. Does anyone want to do anything or capitalize on that moment?
They were so preoccupied with what to do about this unquenchable fire that they didn't notice that Morgoth and his great sorcerer in this was just trying to levitate the keys just enough out of that back pocket of the first guard to get them over to himself.
All right, sometimes I have to pause to go look something up in the... There is a spell that I know of that allows you to conjure a hand, an invisible hand. And so you kind of do a ritual in your cell. You find the materials laying on the ground. You cast a spell and you start moving your hand and pulling on the keys. So go ahead and roll a d20, like I'm having other people do. We'll see how successful this is.
Ooh.
Okay, the keys, because of the fiery chaos that's happening in the cell, he doesn't notice that the keys slowly pull from his cloak, and they're making their way slowly down towards your cell. Now, the one that does notice this is the dog, and you hear him growling, and he's moving slowly but cautiously toward the keys. Would anyone like to step in or figure out what maybe to do? Yeah, what's up, Hillary?
So Alexa mimics a dog barking. I guess just like roof, roof, and makes the dog come towards her as a distraction.
Nice. So there is also a spell that is kind of a minor illusion that seems to fit this. So you are able to create either a audio or auditory or visual illusion. In this case, you're trying to go with auditory. So I need you to also roll a d20 to see how successful that spell would be. 19. These are really great rolls. The dog is like looking around because it's the call of a mate. And he is super pumped and like wagging their tail. And they're totally distracted from the keys and trying to find where this sound came from. You see him like he runs up north and looks behind some debris, and then he starts looking in each of the cells. But the keys are now in your cell, Morgoth. You have them in your hand, and the old man looks across the way and he goes, "Ah, buckets!"
I frantically go to unlock my door while the opportunity is there.
All right. Marcy, what do you think Diana would be doing in this situation?
Diana would be using her magic rope that she happened to have with her when she was imprisoned, and tries to lasso the keys from the guard.
Okay. So in this case, Alex has Morgoth already has the keys.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
It's okay. Is there something else you'd like to do with that rope? You could incapacitate a guard. You could do all kinds of. You could get Alex's.
Incapacitate the card.
Okay, so you're in the cell right next to the flaming ball of fire that's now running frantically around in the cell. You realize that the guards haven't disarmed you of everything, as they didn't take your belt. But your belt's not a belt. It's a magical rope. You pull the magical rope, which you can easily use as a lasso. You go ahead and reach your arm out the door. You're spinning it, and you try to loop it around one of the guard's feet. Go ahead and roll your d20 to see what the effects would be. And if you need help, okay, cool. A 10. So a 10, and now what would happen, again, this is kind of like the performance, I will roll to like a strength or dexterity, those are abilities, to see if that meets the ability to lasso him. So I roll a natural 1, which means my guys fail. So as your rope loops around one of the guy's feet, you pull it, and he falls forward, and he yanks on one of the other guards, who pulls his pants down around his ankles, and he falls over into the other guard. You now have 3 guards lying on the ground, one of them frantically trying to put his pants back up, trying to figure out what the heck just happened. And
nice one, Diana.
Simultaneously, Morgoth is opening his jail cell door. What would you like to do, Morgoth? You're out of your cell.
I'm thrilled, and I respect, the moxie that Diana had, that amazing move. So I have to go get her. She's the best ally I could have to get me out of here.
Sweet.
I'm getting Diana out.
Excuse me, who helped you get the keys?
It's a team effort. I think that slowly.
So you were able to get out 2 people in the time that the guards get back out.
Second. Who helped Diana have enough water to drink that she could do that?
True, it might have been just out of my sight. The cell's very small.
Ask Diana if she's thirsty. She isn't, because I got her a ladle full of fresh water.
You hear all these protests as you're running to what cell to get. You have enough time to open 2 cell doors before the guards recompose themselves, and They see what's happening. They have a full-fledged jailbreak on their hands, and they're frantically trying to get up and get at you. So who, you said Diana, who's your second?
Is Fiona still on fire?
She is, but that's where the guards are the closest.
That is.
I think, with my little bit of time, I see that fire is a good weapon. I try to just hop over them while they're just frantically getting their pants up to try and get that flaming Fiona out of her cell.
And
All
Fiona
right.
is. Oh, can I?
Yeah.
Fiona is curious about what is happening, and so she calms down, and the fire all goes away so that she can make her grand escape.
Got you.
Perfect.
Okay. So all of this occurs in a matter of seconds. Deanna ropes the guy. They all trip and fall. Morgoth jumps out of his cell, races, unlocks Deanna's cell, jumps over a guard, and let's see if he does that. Go ahead and roll a d20. This would be something called an athletics check, which would be based on how strong you are or dexterous you are. 14. That would be good enough to do this task. And so you kind of leap over the back of this guy as he's standing up. You throw the key into the cell, click it open, and now you have Diana and Fiona, thank you, that are out of their cell. The guards have now recomposed themselves and are moving towards you with billy clubs in hand.
Fiona immediately scurries to a corner of leaves and just like a dark corner so that she's out of sight and can plot her next move.
Nice. So this would be when in a game you would enter combat. And so normally what we would do in combat is create a turn order. For the sake of this time, we wouldn't do the turn order. We'll keep things simple again. But normally it would be based on a skill of yours or an attribute of yours. You would roll a d20 and you would have a number, and I would roll that for the guards as well. And we would go in turn order throughout the whole event. Every turn that you would take is equivalent to 6 seconds of real time. And in that time, you can move a certain number of feet and do one action. And you can divide your movement up however you'd like. You'd like to move a little bit, do an action, move again, or move the whole thing and do an action. An attack would be an action. Jess, you kind of ducked off to the side. Fiona did, and kind of is plotting her next action, which sounds kind of like a stealthy move. Would that be a right way of describing it?
Yes.
So what I would have your character do is I would have her do a stealth check. And that's basically just a check on a d20 to see how well she hides and see if the guards notice her hiding. So go ahead and roll a d20. And that would be an action for that character. So I wouldn't tell you how well you rolled. That's just kind of like your base number.
Okay.
My characters would do a roll in secret to see if they saw you or not, but that's something I would hold on to myself. That's for me to know and for you to find out, essentially.
Okay.
So I'll do that now, which for the sake of this, I'll just do it here in the chat and you might see it. So did you see those 3 things? It's a good learning example. So 2 of them definitely do not see you. The 15, you win tiebreakers. The attacker wins tiebreakers. That's just how I play.
Good.
So anyway, so you ducked out of the way and hid in the shadows, and none of their eyes were on you. So you have a pretty good feeling that you're out of sight, out of mind. That the Morgoth standing in the middle of them probably have a little more of their attention. So, how is everyone else responding to this? We'll start with the people still in their cells, just kind of get a feel for how you guys are responding and what you're doing.
So, River sees all of this happening while the guards are trying to figure out what to do. They're chasing after Alex, or they're, what's your name? Montauk or something?
Morgoth.
Morgoth. They're chasing after Morgoth, and River uses this opportunity to come out of her cell and dive for the key that Morgoth threw behind him.
Okay.
So she's trying to sneak out and get the key and fly up towards the ceiling.
Okay, so I would have you roll a d22 for sneak to see if you could do that. And I'll use their awareness numbers. So I would use the same numbers because that's their perception. So we'll see. Okay, so they notice you immediately and they're kind of like stopping you. They don't capture you, but they keep you from the keys. I need to pause and I need to say, Melody, I'm sorry, because I'm not seeing a video, I totally have forgotten to give you attention and Blossom attention. That's on me and I am so sorry.
I understand. I have been enjoying everybody's play and role, and I was like, okay, come on for the fiery areas and all of the other things that have been going on. So
Oh man, I feel so bad because all I saw was the black down there, and I just did not. So I'm going to give some time to Blossom. In the middle of all this, what would Blossom like to be doing?
Blossom would like to be trying to figure out how to get those keys again. Because of course they've gone back to the guards, and I know that Jess, I can't think of your character's name. She's hiding in the corner, so I saw her hiding. But I want to figure out a way that we can distract the guards again. So I am going to call on or try to get Loopy. I can't. What's her name? I can't.
Jumpin' Lumpkin?
Your character, Jumpin' Lumpkin, to try to put on another performance so that we can get those keys again.
Okay, so. Blossom would, did my mic cut out for a second? Okay, so Blossom would kind of call out to get Jumpin' Luckin to encourage her or them to put on another performance.
Correct.
How would Blossom say that? Could you go ahead and just call out what Blossom would say?
Jumpin' Lumpkin, Jumpin' Lumpkin, we need your help. We need your help. Help us now, help. So basically get her attention. If she doesn't see that, I will, Blossom has a little piece of paper that she can ball into a tiny ball, and she throws it from one cell to the other cell to get Jumpin' Lumpkin's attention.
All right, so that's a pretty good amount of interaction, even in the middle of all this. If she didn't hear your voice, sorry, my bad. I keep saying she because of the gender of the person in the chat. So they at least see the ball of paper kind of fall into their cell.
Yes.
Yeah. So Jumpin' Luckin, what would they like to do?
Well, I have an idea. I think it's gonna like fool everybody. So what we're gonna do is, instead of acting like all happy, like I really do prefer that, I want all of us who are still in the cells to sound really tough. And I want us to sing the song Volga Boatman. You all know that song?
About this time, you hear the old man's voice. He picks up right from the first verse. He sings it in his most baritone voice. He knows this song.
Yes.
And so he's joining Jumpin' Luckin in this really intimidating ballad. And what's some of the kind of themes that this song hits, Jumpin' Luckin?
Well, it's a song that was from when people were slaves. I don't even like to say that word. And they had to row these big boats and to keep in time and to be very strong and powerful and feel strong and powerful and intimidating, like you said. And so it goes like, Volga Boatman, Volga Boatman, like that.
It's a wonderful song, and it rings out. So who will join Jumpin' Luckin and Old Man Wit in this song that has a pretty good refrain to catch up on? in their
I'm an
loudest
excellent
voice.
singer. I've been known to be a really excellent singer all my days, so I join in quite happily.
Oh,
Wonderful.
good. You gotta sound big and tough, remember.
It's quite tough for a gnome to do, but I'll do my best.
That's great. It's tough for me too, because I'm an elf. But we gotta surprise them and shock them, and so that they freeze and they're like, what?
So everyone that joins in, what we're going to do is we're going to do a collective roll. And in this case, we would be doing something called an intimidation roll to see if what we would do, and that's in your skills as well, to see if this really intimidates them. So everyone needs to go ahead and roll a d20. And I'm going to just go ahead and do some calculator math because I'm not good at mental math.
If we're not singing, do we still roll? I'm hiding in my corner.
If
so I
you
don't
are,
want to drop attention.
yeah, if you are not singing, you do not roll.
Perfect.
Or let me put this another way. If you don't want to possibly break your stealth, you would not roll.
You can't see me.
All right, so it looks like we got a combination of 75. And I can't even match that with the 3, even if they got natural 20s. So they hear this song break out in this small cavern, and it's just ringing out, and it invokes such a deep impression because this song has a historical context of slavery and slavery breaking oppression and those themes just kind of come up and they're aware of it and they realize that they are in the role of oppressor, and so they are just shaken to their core. And so the moment that River was between them and trying to get the keys, they've totally lost sight of you. They're kind of looking for an out right now. They look up the path and there's Diana standing in their way, and they're like, nah, really, they don't really feel so good about going at her with her lasso. And so they just like jump into the creek, which is a little bit deeper than you realize. It's probably like 4 feet deep. So it's kind of like up to their chest, and there's some humans. And they're trying to make it across, and they're looking for a way out that keeps them away from you guys at this moment. Let's see. So River, that leaves you open to grab the keys. They're just laying right on the ground in front of you, and I'll let you kind of pick it up.
So River flutters down and grabs the keys, and then she comes back to Ginger's cell and tosses them to Ginger so she can unlock.
Okay.
Oh, thank you so much. We'd best get moving on now.
So, I probably wouldn't normally do this, but since we're trying to I would help you guys learn the rules, I would give you a strength check because you're 3 inches tall. Keys are pretty big.
Yeah.
That might require some strength. So I would give you a d20 and have you roll a strength check. So what we do is just roll a d20, and I'll let you know if that's a successful thing.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Dang it.
So you can't get them all the way off the ground, but you can move them. It's just going to take you a little bit to drag them to the cell, because you kind of get to drag them. You can't lift them up and fly them over. Unfortunately, they are pretty heavy iron keys, but you're making your way there. And everyone kind of sees this.
So River is pushing with all her strength on this key and and is nudging it closer and closer to Ginger's cell. And she's pushing.
Ginger's kind of reached out, trying to like grab and encourage.
Oh, okay. So Ginger has described herself as giving an encouraging act. In D&D, you can give someone a helping action, which means you kind of take your action and you give it to someone else in order to have them do their job better. And so what that would create is an advantage. And so instead of rolling 1 d20, River, you would roll 2, and you get to take the highest number. So go ahead and roll 2 d20s, and then whatever one's higher will take that score. You can roll one more since it's doing the action again. There you go. So 15. A 15 is a really good skill check. Her encouragement to you kind of lifts your spirits. You were feeling deflated and kind of tired from being in your bottle for so long. But you feel like a renewal of strength as your friend cheers you on. And you just lift those keys right up and you fly over the creek and you're at her cell now.
So River drops them in Ginger's hands. Says, "Here you go."
Thank you, wee River. That was good work. Let's get busy on these cells. And I unlock my cell first.
Great. So you're all getting out of your cell. These 3 guys are now across the river. They've made it across, which is just so happens to be Old Man Witt's cell. And they're not paying attention. And as the last one gets out of the river and they start walking away, you see a hand come out of the cell wielding what looks to be a chamber pot bucket. And you hear, "Buckets!" And just one just like slaps him upside the head and like drops the guard. Knocks him out right on the ground. And everyone is out of their cell. We'll go back to now the 2 people that are out of their cell first, Morgoth and Diana, and see what you guys are responding to all this.
Diana?
Well, Diana refuses to allow the guards to leave like that. So Diana chases them down with her magical rope.
Cool. As you walk, there's a big chest standing, and you kind of trip a little bit over it, and it kind of knocks over, and there's just, everyone kind of sees it. There's just a ton of weapons laying on the ground. There's everything you could want. There's spell books and healing books and staffs with druid totems on them and battle axes and brass knuckles. They're just spilled out everywhere. So they're just laying there for anyone to pick up. Diana, would Diana pick up anything? What kind of weapon would she like to pick up?
Diana would pick up the spell book.
Nice. Okay, so you're running at them with a spell book and you're flipping through it and you realize that it has quite a lot of different spells in it. Is there anything you'd like to try to cast as you're running toward this guard?
I would cast a spell where they turn into miniatures.
Like little figurines?
Yes.
All right.
That's great.
So you are running at them and you flip open this page and you say some magical words and the crackle in the air sizzles and you can smell the smell of like burning leather and sweet lavender all at once. And a wave ripples out across from you. And go ahead and roll a d20. We'll see how effective this spell is. Okay, so it hits them, but they seem pretty resilient. And so it washes over them. You kind of see one of them kind of shrink size really quick, but then like shaken and pop back to his normal size. He looks shaken, but he's not transformed. As Ginger's unlocking the cells, Blossom, your cell's been unlocked. What would your character like to do?
I am grabbing the brass knuckles and I'm going to help Diana.
All right. So you grab them off the ground. And I'm just going to grab any token just to demonstrate what we're talking about. You're right up against one of them and your brass knuckles in hand. Would you like to attack one of them?
Yes.
All right. Would you like to describe what kind of attack you'd like to do?
I am attacking the one who denied the water but finally gave it to him. So I'm attacking him first. So I'm not that tall, so I have to hit him in the low areas, in the legs. So we're going to the legs, and so we're going to try to get him down to the ground.
Oh, nice. So that would be, in this case, that would be described as a grapple in D&D,
Okay.
which would be a strength thing. So maybe Blossom is pretty strong.
Yes.
So go ahead and roll a d20.
Okay.
And what would happen in a game once we get a character sheet is we would take your strength, 15, up, and we would go against their strength because they're trying to go against you. 15 and 15, attackers win the break. So you come swinging across with your fist right into their kneecap. It kind of buckles, and at the same time, you bring up your other arm and lock their legs with your other arm. So you've got that one guard down on the ground, and he's kind of screaming out in pain from the blow to his leg. So let's see. Hillary, what would... Oh, man, it's not Fiona. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to learn the names. Alexa. What would Alexa like to be doing?
So remind me, who's still in the cells with me?
About this time, if Ginger has been opening the cells, is that right? You've been going through the cells? Pretty much everyone but Old Man Wit's kind of out.
Do we care about him?
I don't know. That's up to
Got a
you.
guard.
Great question.
He sang the song really well.
I'm a little scared of him, though. He's a little big.
Gosh, I don't know.
He's quite a big old man.
Very scary. I might burst into flames again.
He opened my jar for me.
He honestly is.
Okay, I'm gonna go a different route. So Alexa, because she has really good hearing, hears that there is another set of guards on the way. And so she yells to everyone, "Hey everyone, more guards are coming. We gotta make a plan."
Nice. So it rings out through the thing, or through the whole cavern, and everyone kind of hears the fact that there's some more guards on the way. And about that time, you kind of see at least one more guard kind of come down the stairs and around the corner. So there's some coming from out of the gel, wherever that leads. So let's see. I want to make sure. Let's go down to. And I'm still learning these names. Fiona.
Hello.
Yeah. What would you like to do as you're kind of back in the shadows?
To help my friends get the victory, because I'm helping all the people, especially River and Ginger. Is that your name? Okay, because they are small like me. Gotta help them. I scurry across and I create a path of fire blocking the guards from entering the space.
Oh, nice. So like the ones coming from the top here?
Yes. So we can just deal with the three.
All right. So you run across and it just kind of creates this wall of flame. And so you kind of see one looking, and he looks a little hesitant for a second. As you end your path to kind of block them off, you didn't notice it, but you ran right into the dog.
Oh, no.
But instead of growling at you, he's whimpering and wagging his tail and nuzzling his nose against you.
Oh, that's so quaint.
All right, so we will now go to Morgoth in his trailing robe. What would Morgoth like to be doing?
So the dog seems to be on our side. It seems like a friendly fellow.
Seems, at the moment at least, to be friendly to Fiona.
We'll see. Maybe if Fiona can... I and Fiona, I'll rush over to her and see if we can persuade the good boy to fight on our side and go get one of those guards for us.
So you run over, and as soon as you get close, the dog looks at you and growls and like gets really close to Fiona, like really protective of her. But it's not attacking you, just really protective of Fiona's character. And you kind of how would you voice what you're wanting to Fiona?
Little one, could you call off the beasts and maybe send it in a different direction for me?
All right, Fiona, how would Fiona respond?
Fiona would oh, hold on. Oh, yes, I can do something like that. And then Fiona will like kind of do a figure eight around the dog's paws to let it know, like, it's okay, buddy. Like, they're good people. It's okay. Just comfort the dog.
So, one of the skills that a character has is called animal handling, and seems like you're pretty skilled at it. So you would take that.
I am a salamander.
Yeah, you would take that at advantage. So go ahead and roll 2d20s.
2?
Yep, 2, because you're going to take the highest of the 2 numbers, and we'll see. Oh, natural 20. Okay, so you start doing your figure eight, kind of like gentle body language. I'm not a threat. You can trust me. But inside your head, you hear, "Oh, I know. I protect. I'm not hurt. What do you want? I'm a good boy."
So then I have to talk to the dog?
You can. You hear it in your head.
Oh.
For a minute, you're like, am I hearing voices, or is this the dog?
That's great. Yes, buddy. We are friends. Let us help. Let us win. Let us get the victory.
Friend, what do you want, friend?
Attack the guards.
Okay, so this large wolf-like character leaps over the flame and just runs headlong into the guard that's coming and just tackles him. And he's like laying on top of the guard, kind of pinning him down to the ground. All right, Jumpin' Luckin. You've kind of gotten everyone to sing this song and intimidated the guards. What's your next move?
I'm out of my jail cell, right?
By this time, yep. Everyone but Old Man Wit is now out of his cell because there seems to be some debate.
So, guys, I have an idea. I think we should go arm in arm, to make like a line. And I think we should skip and sing like there's nothing wrong in the world. And we're going to go down. There's no guards that we know are coming. There's probably some more, I know. But we're going to be like an advancing wave, and we're going to surprise them. And we're going to sing really cheerful, happy songs, and we're going to skip and jump, but we're going to be arm in arm. And anybody who picked up any weapons, keeps them in your pockets or whatever. Just in case. I don't even like to think about this, but just in case we need them. But I think we could really surprise them, and they're going to be like, what is that? As we go along.
Is anyone joining her in her vision of escape?
No.
So what would Jumpin' Luckin kind of gives this speech of how she envisions breaking out of the cell together. But no one seems on board. So what would Jumpin' Luckin do?
Well, guys, sneaking would be really fun and everything, but here's the problem. Some of you, I'm pretty small. I'm only 3 feet tall, and I only weigh 20 pounds. But some of you are really teeny weeny tiny, and we all have to stick together because otherwise, it's kind of not fair. Because the ones of you that are itsy bitsy, you could just go and hide in the cracks and stuff, but you'll leave the rest of us behind. And I'm not even big like Morgoth or whatever his name is. I'm kind of little. So I know. So I can ride, because I'm not very big and not very heavy, on Morgoth's shoulders. And we'll put the cloak over both of us so he'll look big and scary. Plus, he has magic. And the little itsy bitsy ones, you guys go ahead and check things out and come back and tell us. And the rest of us, we're gonna like try to combine up and look big and tough, okay?
Okay. So does anyone want to combine to create one giant lurking individual? Just join up with Jumpin' Luckin and Morgoth. Ginger, what would be Ginger now that you have all the cells open?
Morgoth, you are a halfling, is that right?
I am a halfling sorcerer.
Okay. I couldn't quite remember, so I just wanted to double check on that. Ginger's still a bit closer to the old man cell, and so I'm feeling very paralyzed about whether we should dash and flee because time is getting so short, or if I should free this old man who also, has freed a couple of our companions as well. And so I'm sitting there and I'm shaking in my wee boots.
So she's asking for a quick consensus. What's a consensus on letting this old man out?
So we could use an ally in battle. I say let him out. Let him out.
Let him out.
And he's big and he can sound tough. So that the ones of us that need maybe a little bit more toughness, we're too big to sneak, but we're not tough. We can combine with the big uns and we'll look tougher and scarier, even though I really don't like doing that.
How about you, Fiona? What do you feel?
Yes, Fiona's still a little bit scared, but now that I have this big wolf buddy dog dude on my side, I'm feeling much more brave.
How about you, Alexa?
I agree. I think we should let him out.
Okay. And how about Blossom?
I think we should let him out.
How about River? All right. So, Ginger?
Righto, come here, Mr. Cans. You're coming with us. And I do. I unlock his cell, and I start to open up the cell gate.
Okay.
To let him out.
His wide eyebrows look up and he smiles. He's like, I knew you'd make the right decision. I always said the worst situations are, I don't know, good stories, something like that. We should leave. And he darts toward the exit. Everyone that's wanting to join up with Morgoth and Jumpin' Lucky, and they all kind of get on together and they use their cloak. Diana has one of the guards pinned, knocks him out with a quick blow to the head, or however she liked to incapacitate him. The other guards are just kind of laying stunned on the ground, and the other guard is now pinned by the dog. You guys are able to make your way out one by one. You leave the stairs, and the last to come is this beautiful white husky dog. He gets close to the exit with you. The exit is kind of just the stairs up. It opens up and you realize that you're out in the middle of a field. There's this really old tower that's kind of dilapidated and falling down, but there's nothing around. There's a cart and a donkey and just a wide open field, mountains in the background. Everyone's kind of out and gathering their breath, and this beautiful white dog is making his way up the stairs when all of a sudden you just see two shadowy dark hands come up from inside the prison, grabs onto the dog, and starts pulling him back into the cell.
No.
The dog doesn't let out a yelp. He doesn't seem to whimper or cry. The only thing you can kind of have this sad dog-looking face and what looks like tears and just a depressive look on his paws as it just kind of reluctantly gets pulled back in. And you hear Fiona, right?
Yeah. That's what I was gonna ask.
You hear in your head, curse, strong, can't leave, and then gets pulled deep into the prison cell. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we would leave it for tonight.
Oh my goodness.
So,
Here we are.
okay. So it's 10 o'clock. Thank you guys for playing. I hope, and again, I'm sorry, Melody, for not seeing your video and just not giving you enough time. Mea culpa,
It's
my
fine. I
fault.
totally understand. I enjoyed playing with you all, though. We should definitely do this again.
Yes, this was really fun.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. This is actually really helpful. For one, I realized that it's actually possible to get through a whole scenario in 2 hours with 8 people, which is something I didn't think was going to happen.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. This was great.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
teenagers can be a little more unruly.
yes, and that's definitely true. That's going to be.
I mean, I run teen groups, not D&D groups, but I run teen groups, and it's very hard to get where you want to be going.
I would love to hear some of your thoughts about that. Maybe we could have a chat on Facebook, because I'd love to hear your experiences. The only groups I've ran is co-lead for school, and that was like 1 or 2 times. So I don't have a lot of experience with teens or in groups with teens. So I'm going to go ahead really quick before you guys log off. I'm going to throw the link for the survey into the chat. If you guys can just copy it. Oh, shoot. In, please, if you guys have an opportunity to take it. I think there's only 3 questions that are short answer. Everything else is a sliding scale. And you can be as brief or as long as you'd like. And your honest feedback would be extremely helpful.
And where is this?
Just in the chat, Zoom chat.
Oh.
So
Do you
yeah.
need us to do that right now, like tonight?
Nope. We don't plan on starting our group until August. So really anytime that you have a chance, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Tim.
Yep.
Oh, I was just gonna ask about your group and like what is the purpose for the role play with D&D?
Yeah. So
like, what's the goal?
Yeah. So if you want to hear or ask questions, you can hang around. If not, and you just want to be done because we're not going to play anymore, you're more than welcome to leave. And then otherwise I can stick around for questions. So thank you guys for playing. I'll just say that right now so you can drop out if you need to. And
we X out. I want to stay and talk.
Okay.
For as long as you want to, but can we X out of this other thing, whatever it's called?
Yeah, Roll20.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can close that out. It's not a big deal.
So that we have more Zoom space.
Mm-hmm. And if you guys don't mind, can I grab another drink of water before I talk some more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
Yeah. I want to echo Tim. Thanks so much for hanging in there with us tonight, both for like new learning curve D&D stuff, but also even just the technological part, helping us to troubleshoot what it's going to look like. I've never run a virtual group before, and so and certainly never done a virtual group that is has a gaming component. And so even those really annoying things that we were having to figure out at the beginning was really helpful.
Good. I had one technological question just before, because I'm closing out the Roll20. Was the map, I don't know if we were all seeing the same thing, or was the map indicative of our cave with the river in the middle?
I don't think we were all seeing the same map. That's something that Tim and I made a note of that I think we need to double check on, because my map didn't have a river either.
Yeah, mine is just green and it looks like a layout of like a room or.
Yeah, my map didn't have a river.
Oh shoot! I think I know what happened now.
I almost said something at the beginning, but you
Mine,
mentioned the
mine
river.
was
and I
like
wasn't sure.
brown, and it had like tables and
Oh
Yeah.
man.
did not
Yeah,
look
same,
anything like our
Hillary.
story.
That was
Okay.
my map too.
Oh man. I'm sorry about that. And if something would have been said earlier.
I almost said something. I'm sorry.
No, it's
Awkward
okay.
little-
I was on a different map. So the Roll20 has like pages, and I had created that map, but realized it was too big for a 2-hour time slot. So I made a different one. And I was wondering why I didn't see your pings. It's because I was looking at a map that you weren't on.
And that's why we could
Oh,
see each
no.
other's pings.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So I could show you for the 2 people that are in there still. It'll reload, and that'll be the map that I was playing on.
Oh.
Maybe it'll make more sense.
Totally.
I was moving the tokens around and everything.
That's good practice.
Yeah, thank you.
You were moving around tokens and there were no tokens, and I was completely confused, but I just thought
Same.
Yeah, not your fault, totally mine. Yeah, so you guys were fantastic at using pure imagination tonight.
Focusing. Nice.
Okay, Mary, your question. I want to, if I can answer it. What? Sorry, could you speak that again? The question again?
Oh yeah, am I muted? No, I'm not. I had just asked what the goal is for your group with using D&D in the role playing.
Yeah, so I wish I could add or attach a file. I can send you our group proposal. That might give you a good idea of what our goal is.
I'd like to see that too, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. I can if that's okay with Jennifer if I share that.
You could, well, a screen share might be a little too much to do right now, but yeah, to be able to pass that along would be great.
It's not a bad idea. So the goal for the group, our target audience is the wrong word to use, is teens that have mild to moderate anxiety or depression. And some of the goals of group is to increase social connection and improve or develop social skills and emotional connection and awareness. We would allow character creation, so some of your bonds and flaws and individual session with them that we would have during intake would help us set client goals for them. That we would work on through scenarios in the game. So if your personal goal is, I'm feeling a lot of anxiety with public speaking, that would be a really easy thing to work in a scenario where maybe you command a troop of soldiers and you have to give an inspiring speech. That might be like the pinnacle of what we might have you do in a game session to get you to practice. Because doing something in character gives you a level of disassociation that allows you to put on something in play that applies to your life. And it gives you a chance to practice it in a low threat or a non-threatening way. In a social setting where people are playfully engaged and hopefully genuinely connecting.
Is there any research that you're aware of, or maybe this is what you're looking at, about whether that transfers or not, those skills?
Yeah, and I can actually send you a list of research that's being done. There's a group, the Bahana Group. They're a nonprofit that runs tabletop and role-playing games as therapy. A fantastic guy that runs that, Jack. He will answer any questions.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
I'm the owner of I'm a psychologist, and I'm the owner of a group practice, and we're in New York, and we run virtual groups. So I have a fair amount. So I have a fair amount of experience with this, and I'm happy to talk to you at some point about that if you'd like. But in addition, what I was going to say was that because of my role, I'm always thinking about how to develop other things. And so I've been doing a lot of research recently, and in various Facebook groups and stuff about, like gaming as a therapeutic technique and stuff. So I would, if you don't mind sharing it, I would love to see that stuff.
You really should connect with Jack. The Badhana group, I actually put the links in the chat. He's out of Harrisburg, PA. So he's pretty close to you guys in New York. And I know they do things on the East Coast all the time. He's been doing it for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a phenomenal guy. The other guy, or the other site I put is Game to Grow. And they are a group-led thing. They have some psychologists working with them, educators, and they do the same thing. They do role-playing games for therapy, and they actually developed a role-playing game specifically for kids on the spectrum to work with autistic populations. They're a phenomenal group of people, and one of their leaders, founders, she is just 2 months away from getting her PhD. She is also really open to talk and extremely helpful.
Yeah, we run a Lego group for upper elementary and middle school age kids, not on the spectrum, although the model was developed for spectrum kids as a social skills group, and it's like a Lego club. Yeah,
this social skills is probably the primary way I've seen this being used, because it seems to fit really well with social skills development. But I think also, I know in our school, we talk a lot of EFT, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for that too, that we hope to utilize through check-in and check-out. We want to have really targeted questions to heighten their experiences and emotional intelligence and awareness. So questions might be geared toward, like, what's something that your character experiences, like, that you wish to experience? Or how was your character this week in doing something in a way that you wish you could do in your own life? So check out questions like that really help drive to the therapeutic goal. Jennifer, is there anything you want to add? I don't want to dominate.
No, I mean, I really think that's the bulk of it, and helping both in game and then in process. So sort of the double bookend of, we're doing this playfully, we're doing this in game, and then we're bridging that into the process and into the sort of actual real life that you're living, and helping them align their character goals with their real life goals, which I think will be really fun. And so Tim, the way it'll function is Tim will function very similarly to how he functioned tonight in terms of being the game master, sort of the narrator and the guide throughout the story portion. And then my role will be in game, sort of as a minor character to help move the story along, to help sort of, if we need to sort of like do a pause on the game to do a check-in or something like that, then my character would facilitate that, and also provide modeling in that way.
Awesome.
So I have a quick question. Sorry, did I interrupt somebody?
No.
Okay, so my question was, I know that this particular game is geared towards the older population in group therapy. What do you suggest, or have you looked into a proposal for a younger population?
Yeah, so you mean like maybe elementary age?
It's more like elementary, middle school, and that transitional, not quite teenage, but around the 10 to 12 area.
So it would be very similar, like you would do the same things. You would run imaginative play. In fact, I would say that younger kids are really good at imaginative play in ways that sometimes adults, the barriers are much higher. But I would use different games. There's a game out there called No Thank You Evil, which is kind of like D&D light for kids. And yeah, thank you, Hillary. I'll type this in.
So I have a number, part of why I signed up for this is because I have a bunch of patients that are into D&D and I'm like, I don't know what the heck they're talking about. And so this seemed like, I told one of them actually that I was going to be doing this, and they were really excited about it.
Yeah.
And they all started playing D&D in middle school. They've been playing, they're in high school now, but I have probably 5 different patients that started playing D&D in middle school.
That's when I started playing too. So it's been a long time, and yeah, it's.
So I don't know if you're looking for a middle school population as opposed to more a tween population, Melody, you might be able to use something like this, but I think it also depends on your population and their sort of level of sophistication.
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah.
Kids are sophisticated typically.
Yeah, No Thank You Evil would be more gauged towards elementary age kids. But it's a fantastic game. I played with my own girls. That would be my suggestion. And then, like Beth was saying, if you're like emerging like middle school, junior high, they could do D&D. You would just have to be really familiar with the rules of the game and learn like what simplifications, kind of like what I did tonight. I didn't really, I wasn't really focused on a lot of the rules. Older kids are probably going to like a little bit of that, as like they just kind of, I use the term lovingly, geek out about it because it's really cool. Like it's just fun for a lot of us. I just wanted to mention 2 more books, 2 more types of games. This is one that I would love to run with teenagers at some point, called Kids on Bikes. It's a role-playing game that essentially just takes every trope from the 80s, like the Goonies, and turns it into a role-playing game, and it is fantastic. The questions during character creation are fantastic, and you answer them, you build the world together, and you do negative and positive things that you know about other players in the party. So if Jennifer and I were playing, I would be asked like a question like, what trait about this character that they despise do you genuinely appreciate? And you answer questions like that about each other. So there's a lot of really built-in depth to character creation that really open up a lot of therapeutic conversations. And the setting is fun. E.T., Goonies, Stranger Things, like this is built for that. So awesome book. And the other book I'd like to recommend is this book called Super Better by Jane McGonigal. It's a big one. It's just backed with research. And it's about how to gamify life, but a lot of the principles apply to this type of therapeutic enterprise, I feel like.
Could you put those in the chat also?
Mm-hmm.
I'd appreciate it. Is there a way we can save this chat? Because after you close the Zoom session, we're not going to have access to the chat, right?
Yeah, we might need to just email all of that in a follow-up email in case people also weren't able to save the link to the assessment.
That's a good point.
You could probably send that all in an email.
So Beth, there is a way you can actually save the actual chat. It is 3 buttons right there to where the chat says to everyone, and you'll click that and it'll say save the chat.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But yeah, I can probably send also a follow-up email with some information. Yeah.
Well, thanks. This is super fun. I have a lot of friends that love to do or love to play Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm always helplessly confused. So now I have just a morsel of something. But this is a really fun idea, and I'm glad that you guys put it together.
If you could do this piece, what you did tonight, and you did it masterfully, like you leaned into your characters really well, everyone did, you've got 90% of what you need to do in D&D. People will help you through the rules. Mm-hmm. A good dungeon master will be able to guide you, and other players are lovingly, like, you're there. That's just really exciting. So if you can do this and have fun, D&D or other role-playing games are definitely open to you.
Yeah. Fun. Cool. Well, I'm going to leave now. But
Hey, Jess.
thanks.
Great to see you.
Have a good night, everybody.
See ya.
You
Have a
too.
good
Yeah.
night.
Thanks for hosting
joining.
this.
Jennifer, do you want to stick for a second?
Yep.
Do you want to just reach out to me to set out a time to talk, or how do you want to do it?
Yeah, that would be nice. Maybe sometime next week if you have availability. I'll just message you.
Seeing as I have no social life because I live locked in my house,
COVID. Fantastic, huh?
I'm in it for the long haul, you know.
Oof, yeah.
And New York is much more cautious about
Mhm.
quarantine and stuff, and I'm on the cautious end of that. So yes, I find I have quite a flexible schedule.
Okay, great. Yeah, I will. I'll message you through Facebook, and maybe we can set up a time. I'd love to hear your experience.
I'm happy to help.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Mm.
Oh man, it went well for you? I feel like I want your role to be more dominant when we actually do it.
Yeah, that was one of the I just made like a handful of notes during the thing so I could remember when we checked in, and that was one of my questions was like, in game, how much do I intervene, how much do I not, how much do I model, how much do I not, and I didn't do as much tonight as I maybe naturally would have.
Yeah, and I didn't address you like another player, and so that's something I would do, I think, when we actually played. Like add you into the rotation of like, what would you like to do? So I think some of that's just on me not adding you as much as I'd like. Like I noticed that.
Sure. That's something that's good to pay attention to as well.
And I think teens are going to be a little harder to draw out.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. Yeah, this was a really good, well-mixed group who I was really surprised at how quickly they got on board with like the character making.
Mm-hmm.
And even like when things did get moving in the dungeon, I was really surprised by that.
Same. Yeah. I don't even think I've had people who have played RPGs move in this quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't know how much of that is because we had several therapist type people, how much of it was that they really felt you when you were saying like, hey, this is no pressure, low pressure, here's some things you can do to make it really accessible.
Mm-hmm.
It did feel very